He averages 7 assists per game.
The height and strength of the backcourt for the Bruins could be determinant tonight. Offensive foul up at the free throw line screening.
That's on David Ware.
Both Ware twins starting for the Bruins these days. The loss of Shabazz Muhammad and Drew II, Larry Drew II, changing the rotations for the Bruins.
Here's Redden Obasahan, who comes in averaging 14 points per game. He's a good defender too. Leads the SEC in steals.
And in the top 10 in block shots per game at 6 feet. Truly remarkable, Dave.
Randolph using the screen, gets into the lane. And Randolph gets the bounce for the game's first basket. And Powell streaking down the court gets the layup as UCLA scores in transition.
The type of game they're trying to play now. Push the ball, open it up. Let Eagles soar. Free to fly for the Bruins.
They're in the top 10 in scoring, number 2 in the country in field goal percentage. Jordan Adams with the rebound off the Rodney Cooper miss. Adams rebounding 5 per game as Anderson's 3 is off target. Shannon Hale, a freshman, with the board. Obasahan looking to push tempo, lost it off his foot. Alabama, though, maintains possession.
An up-tempo game seriously favors UCLA tonight. Suspect outside shooting for Alabama. Bruins should just pack it in defensively.
And they do, and now a kick out to Cooper. His 3 off the mark, and rebounded again by Adams, his 2nd already.
Adams, a fierce competitor on all aspects, over the top. Beautiful play, Kyle Anderson.
And Travis Ware with the easy basket. You see the vision of Kyle Anderson at 6'9", able to see over the top and find the open man.
The vision's been there. It's style and opportunity right now. It's allowed him to truly blossom.
Here's Randolph out to Obasahan. The shot clock down to 6. Obasahan spinning. His shot is short. And rebounded by David Ware.
Offensive limitations for Alabama, plaguing them early on.
With Hall of Famer Bill Walton, Dave Pasch at Pauley Pavilion as Kyle Anderson already with an assist gets a field goal. And UCLA unbeaten at home this year, 10-2 overall. Best start in 5 seasons, leading 6-2.
Collapsing defense leading to fast break opportunities. Finally, something goes down. Shannon Hale, just a freshman, very nice perimeter shooter for Coach Anthony Grant.
Hale making his first start. There are 2 new starters tonight for Alabama. We'll get to that in a moment. You see the 5 on the floor for UCLA, including Jordan Adams, who is their leading scorer at 19 points per game. Here he is from the corner. 3 won't go. And getting to the basketball is Levi Randolph. Open 3 from the corner. Way off the mark.
That's not Alabama's game.
And now Powell pushing tempo and draws a foul. He'll go to the line for 2. The first foul on Alabama.
That is UCLA and Norman Powell's game. Norman Powell from San Diego, a junior. Lincoln High School, the same high school that gave the sporting world Marcus Allen as great an athlete who has ever come out of the fine city of San Diego.
So Powell will go to the free throw line. This UCLA team, Bill, a lot different right now. You look at their scoring. They're 8th in the country, 86 points per game. That's the best through 12 games in almost 20 years here. They're number 2 in the nation in field goal percentage and 3rd in the country in assists.
So let's see. You score points, a lot of them. You shoot a great percentage, and you move the ball around. What a novel concept.
And Powell gets both free throws. UCLA leading by 3, 8-5.
Never forget the adage. It's not how many you make, it's how many you take. Let's get it going up and down. And there's another aspect of UCLA, changing defense on a constant basis. And we haven't even mentioned that they don't ask the player to look over at the sidelines every play for direction.
A couple of veiled Ben Howland references just 4 minutes into the game. Here's Obasahan to the left wing. UCLA packing it in that zone, daring Alabama to shoot over the top. Shot clock at 4, and a steal by Adams, averaging 3 steals a game. He missed the layup, hit the deck hard, and into the hands of Hale.
This is the kind of game UCLA wants to play, and Alabama does not want any part of.
Good hustle by Shannon Hale with the offensive rebound in his first basket.
But the Bruins just keep coming up. Flowing, glowing, growing.
That's definitely a style that the players like. They enjoy getting up and down the floor as David Ware connects. Kyle Anderson before the season that last year at times he felt like a robot. But this year he can play the way he likes to. And he's a triple-double threat.
And we've seen 5 different defensive sets for the Bruins in just the opening 4 minutes, 45 seconds. Press, man-to-man, zone, no defense.
Randolph too strong on the 3. Alabama continues to struggle from behind the arc. Again, UCLA pushing tempo. Anderson off the window. It won't go. Carl Engstrom with a clear.
Obasahan has to get going here. Establish himself as the leader. He's the dynamic personality on this squad. Relaford gets so much of the publicity, but he's been disciplined and on the bench currently.
Yeah, not starting because he missed a flight and was late for practice. We will see him tonight, but not starting. UCLA with an early 3-point lead.
Of college basketball is brought to you by Mazda. It takes conviction, creativity, and courage to build cars worth driving. This is the Mazda way. What do you drive? And Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2014 John R. Wooden Men's Player of the Year Award.
Welcome back to the campus of UCLA. The Bruins out to a 10-7 lead early on here at Pauley Pavilion. Welcome to another year of the Bill Walton Experience. I'm your reluctant tour guide, Dave Pash. Bill, you've had a chance to see UCLA play a little bit. You talked to Steve Alford this morning. What are your impressions so far?
They're doing better, and they're trying to get it done. After years of shadowboxing the apocalypse and wandering the land, the clouds have parted, and people are having fun here. The atmosphere is totally different, and they're up and down the court, and they're passing the ball around, they're scoring, and they're putting on an entertaining product. So things are getting a lot better here. People couldn't be happier or more proud.
Shadowboxing the apocalypse, huh? Take us through our one-on-one.
The one-on-one story tonight. Alabama, can they score enough? They have not won a game when the other team gets 70-plus points in a game. They're 4-3. They're a good team. They played a very tough schedule. They're not shooting well right now. UCLA, Steve Alford this morning told us, hey, we got a gifted offensive squad. We're still searching for our identity. That's a very nice way of saying, hey, guys, guard somebody.
Alford coming over after 6 seasons at New Mexico. Led them to 4 Mountain West titles over the last 5 years and 2 tournament championships. They were a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament last year, but upset in the first round by Harvard.
Harvard?
Harvard? Yeah, they've knocked off some people, though. Hey, it's the NCAA tournament. Let's not.
Tommy Evans, you've got a fine job up there. Harvard?
Kyle Anderson with the basket. You've seen pictures. And it's 12-7 UCLA. So Relaford is in the game after not starting.
But the changing defenses for UCLA are confusing the Tide.
Relaford off the mark his first shot. He was disciplined for missing practice, so not starting but getting the play. He's their leading scorer, Relaford. Jordan Adams, UCLA's leading scorer, can't get it to go.
Nice block. Jimmy Taylor, freshman, #1 player in the state of Alabama. Here, over the top.
LG Key on the baseline with a save. Into the game for UCLA is the head coach's son, Bryce Alford. And also super freshman Zach Levine out of Seattle. Leads all Pac-12 freshmen in scoring.
UCLA plays a 9-man rotation. Traveling violation. Easy play to call.
So you said Steve Alford wants his team to play better defense. What we're seeing so far, is this a byproduct of bad offense, or are the Bruins doing a good job on D?
You're not responsible for the opposition. The Bruins are playing fine defensively, but Alabama has to do a better job offensively.
Jordan Adams with a 3-pointer. That's the one part of his game, as you look at his numbers, where he's gotten off to a slow start, but he's a very good shooter. On the season, 33% from out there.
Is that a mohawk he has?
That is a mohawk. He had that last year.
No, he didn't. That is a mohawk. Goodness gracious.
Adams broke a bone in his right foot of the Pac-12 tournament. UCLA was never the same. Are you jealous? Is that why you draw attention to it?
Coach Wooden rolling over in his grave.
Tony Parker into the game for UCLA. A new look. Tony Parker dropped a lot of weight in the offseason as Anderson deflected the pass, and UCLA started on the break. And Alabama with an easy basket as Jacobs collects and throws it down. That ends a 7-0 UCLA run.
Alabama down only 6, and now they're changing up their defense a little bit. But Alabama's got the 3rd best program in the SEC. After Kentucky and Florida.
Kyle Anderson with a short jumper. Boy, he can do it all. 6 points. Terrific passer. He's their starting point guard. He has 3 assists already.
But when they play with this lineup, he moves to the front court. He's incredibly versatile. And
how many guys can play the point guard and the 4? As the 3-point attempt by Randolph hit the rim, then went over the basket, so it's UCLA ball.
At the highest levels of basketball, which UCLA is trying to get to, which Alabama, which the best they ever had was an Elite 8 back in 2004 under Gottfried, who coached in the previous game here tonight on ESPN. But the highest levels of basketball, the positions are irrelevant. It's who can play.
Got a foul on Key. There's Grant in his 5th year at Alabama, averaging 23 wins over the last 3 seasons. Went to the NIT last year. Been a struggle this season. Defense not as good as it's been in the past. UCLA with an 8-point lead.
But Alabama is topped in the SEC in academics for basketball.
Adams with another 3. That's his 2nd triple. Both field goals for Adams have come from behind the arc.
And now here's a different kind of press. Full up the court.
We've seen a lot of different looks defensively so far for UCLA.
Exciting, fun, stimulating, challenging.
12-2 run for the Bruins over the last 4 minutes.
And Rutherford looks confused, dazed, maybe uninterested.
Anderson with a rebound off the Key miss. Adams spinning baseline. And another Alabama foul. So 20-9, UCLA on top. We'll talk about Westwood's newest wonder when we return to Paulie. UCLA shooting 62% from the field and an 11-point lead over Alabama. Steve Alford in his first year as the head coach at UCLA. Let's take you back to his days in high school. Mr. Basketball in Indiana, 1983. Was a great player at IU, won a national championship after winning a gold medal in 1984. 1987, part of that team that beat Syracuse for the national title game, was a 4-year starter there. Played in the NBA for a little bit with the Mavericks and Warriors. 23 years as a head coach, never an assistant coach. And I know, Bill, you got a chance to talk to Steve today and ask him questions over the course of 45 minutes about his life as a player and a coach. What stood out to you most?
The pressure's on. This is a much different scene than Bloomington, than Iowa, than Albuquerque. And it did not start well when he first got here. His opening press conference was not one to be remembered.
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of people are totally upset that he had committed to a 10-year contract in New Mexico and then 48 hours later signed another contract with UCLA. And then there was the...
Here's his son, Bryce Alford, off the bounce. And put up an air ball. Alford is a good player, though, and very highly recruited, along with Zach LaVine, who we'll see a lot of. He's in the ball game right now. Nice drive by Rutherford and score for Alabama.
There was also the Pierre Pierce incident that happened up at Iowa. That left a lot of people here at UCLA very concerned. And the Academic Senate up in arms. A petition signed by 1,900 people in the academic world here at UCLA, wondering what is going on here.
So what will it take for Steve Alford to gain the trust and appreciation of the UCLA fans, because Ben Howland had a stretch where he was winning 3 straight Final Fours, and then 5 years later he's out as their head coach. So it's not just winning, correct? It's also style of play for UCLA fans, right? And that's a style that people like here.
That 3 straight Final Four argument, that's a tired apology for failure. And it's an assault on reason that totally ignores the inconvenient truths of the rest of the story. The 5 consecutive years, most recent ones, not past the first weekend of the tournament. Couldn't beat the big boys, Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, or Kansas, in the games or off the court in the recruiting battle. The fan base here, one of the great fan bases in history. Been decimated, disillusioned, devastated, and disheartened. And then the style, culture, and identity of what was going on here before. The vulgar, arrogant bullying, the self-promotion at the expense of the players, the team, the school, the game, and the sport.
Here's Key getting fouled. He'll shoot 2. That's on Tony Parker. That's the 3rd on UCLA and the 1st on Parker.
But the Bruins have stepped back. And Dan Guerrero has given Steve Alford an 8-year contract. Dan Guerrero's got a 7-year contract of his own. Well, these guys are going to be here. And this is big money, but that's what ESPN has brought to the Pac-12. The Pac-12, which has won the most basketball championships of any conference. UCLA, which has the most championships themselves. UCLA, which has the most NBA draft choices in history. UCLA, which has more players on the NCAA all-time team.
Well, the expectations obviously are lofty here, and they haven't been met the last few years. Now, last season,
Can I say something about expectations first?
Well, UCLA did win the Pac-12 regular season title last year. Jordan Adams got hurt in the tournament. That certainly impacted them not only in the Pac-12 tournament but in the NCAA tournament. But we also have to give Steve Alford some time and give him a chance to recruit his players here, run his style. And so far, UCLA is off to its best start since the 08-09 season at 10-2. Now, they did lose to really the 2 big teams they played, Duke and Missouri. We'll see how they perform in conference play. They're going to start with USC here in early January. Parker inside has it rejected by Jimmy Taylor. And here comes Relaford. Alabama within 5 as the Tide on a 6-0 run. And now a foul called on Levine, his 1st and the 4th on UCLA. Close out the year with a Big Ten college basketball doubleheader on Tuesday. 1st and 1 Eastern, number 3 Ohio State facing Purdue. And it's Indiana and Illinois at 3.
How about that Big Ten basketball? I'm old enough to remember when that was as boring as it came. And right now, that is happening. One of only 2 conferences, the Pac-12 being the other one, that has 2 undefeated teams in it.
Yeah, Wisconsin won again today, 4th in the country.
Wisconsin is fun as can be. Bo Ryan, who coached against Steve Alford in his first championship game at the collegiate level. Great length in anticipation by Kyle Anderson.
Bo Ryan was at the Wisconsin Platte when that happened. Here's Kyle Anderson running the point, finds Alford in the corner, can't hit the 3. And Jimmy Taylor with another rebound. UCLA has gone cold after starting the game shooting 63% over the first 7 minutes.
But they're still taking shots. They're not pulling it out. That's what you want.
UCLA sticking with that zone defense.
They're making Alabama think.
And forcing a lot of jumpers, although this time inside looked like a lot of contact there. Taylor and Parker, but no whistle. And then Anderson gets the rebound.
Kyle's doing everything out there tonight. He's gotten himself in such better shape. Better nutrition, better training habits.
He averages 9 rebounds per game, 15 points, and 7 assists. That one spins out.
Closest player by far to a triple-double average in NCAA basketball.
Powell with the steal. Levine, who can soar with the best of them, up high, missed the shot, but an Alabama foul on the rebound. That'll be the 4th team foul on the Tide, and 2 personals on Algie Key.
Zach Levine is fun. He's got those quick twitch muscle fibers, the synapses that just explode, the ability to move effortlessly and gracefully over the floor. He's got a real nice touch with the ball.
One thing Steve Alford talked about was him adjusting to playing defense, which obviously for every player coming from high school is the #1 thing that coaches want to see. Improvement on the defensive end. You're laughing as Powell is fouled. You're laughing at me or laughing at coach?
You're getting used to playing defense. What a novel concept. That's where it starts.
Cooper picked up the foul, first on him. 15th foul.
You mentioned the start. With so much emphasis and so much hype on all these fine new players who have come in. Let's not forget that these are not the first guys that had good starts in college basketball history. Kareem, you old enough to remember him? His first game here, 56 points and 21 rebounds.
That's not bad.
You know what Wilt did in his first game?
Here's a three that goes for Relaford, and Alabama within two. Hold the Wilt thought. Alabama's on a 9-0 run and cutting the Bruin lead to 2 points, 7.5 to go.
And now they're pressing. Things turned for Alabama when Relaford came back in, even though he hasn't done anything himself. Terrible pass.
Yep, alley-oop attempt for Parker, and here comes Bama. Relaford did not have numbers, so he pulls it back out. And then Alabama turns it over. So Alabama back within two. There's a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's jersey next to a guy that wore number 32, Bill Walton.
We're in studio, Georgia taking on Colorado at the Event Center in Boulder. Here's Josh Scott, young fellow with the lay-in in the paint. Right now it's 30-18. CU on top. Earlier today, battle for the Commonwealth. Kentucky outlasting Louisville, and Syracuse down big early, came back to take care of Villanova. Guys?
All right, Chris, here, Alabama on a 9-0 run over the last 4 minutes and 15 seconds. UCLA has missed its last 7 shots. Kyle Anderson, though, 6 points and 4 assists, Bill.
Tremendous performance in all aspects of the game. The versatility, finding big men running in transition, being able to get into the lane, draw defenders, multiple ones that kick out to the wide open spot up shooting, and then moving constantly without the ball himself. He's not the only guy. This is not a one-dimensional team. Kyle can handle it out there. Levine can handle it. Little Bryce Alford can handle it. Jordan Adams, excuse me, he can get it done. Norman Powell. This is a fun, exciting basketball team that is still trying to find its way. When you don't have a great individual talent that's just dominant overall, you got to come together as a team and find out what you stand for, what you're going to do, and dig it out as a squad. Nobody makes it to the top alone here.
No bench points yet for UCLA. Alabama with 11 bench points as Anderson turns it over, second giveaway. And to your point, since Trevor Relaford came into the game for Alabama after not starting for disciplinary reasons, this Bama team has looked a lot different. He has 7 points and a steal.
He was all SEC last year, second team all SEC defense. This is a steady performer who doesn't have the personality that Obasanjo has. And he's a fine young player. Offensive foul, the high screen out in front by Jimmy Taylor.
That's 2 on Taylor.
Just come to a stop and let the guy use him now. UCLA has a good connection with Kansas City as well.
Is this easier said than done as the screener?
Ask Kevin Garnett, who didn't go to college. But just come to a stop and let them use you.
Anderson trying to take Cooper off the dribble. Got him off his feet. Draws the foul and will go to the line.
I must have missed something somewhere along the way.
Really? That's 2 on Cooper.
You noticed. I don't understand what it was that precipitated in basketball the evolution of this most perfect game of all, where all you have to do is wait for the opening tip. But why did somebody think that's a good idea to bring 7-foot studs out to the three-point line to set screens?
Well, you see the ball screen, you see it in the college game, you see it in the pro game. Now in the pro game, you got more guys that can shoot that.
If you're
coming off the screen,
23 feet from the hoop and you need a screen to get open, come on. How about a dribbling? How about a pass? How about a cut?
Yeah, but a lot of guys in college point guards can't break down their man like NBA point guards can.
So pass the ball. Create space. I mean, please. Men are made in the paint. Get down low and get something done. Here's a press by UCLA.
Bruins with the free throws and the 9-0 run. And good defense by Adams and Ware on the track. UCLA ball, a 4-point lead, nearing 6 minutes to go in the first half.
Are you old enough to remember when UCLA used to use the press as a weapon consistently?
Yes, sir.
They did win 2 championships with the tallest player being 6'5".
Too strong in the shot by Ware, and Relaford pushing tempo. Nice dribble. Gets into the lane. Can't finish. Got it back, though, after Jacob saved it. And now a UCLA foul as Shannon Hale went strong to the goal.
UCLA's pressing, trapping defense forces the Alabama player into a tough spot along that sideline, just over the half-court line, so he's really up against it. No place to go, and the quick hands of the Ware brothers.
Hale misses the free throw.
I loved the press, and I loved the count that the fans used to do. Because as soon as the Bruins would score, the fans would start to count 10, 9. And much like the Grateful Dead, they would not keep a steady beat to that count.
Our first Grateful Dead reference is Obasan gets the steal and the stuff. And Alabama's within a point. First basket for Redden Obasan. And now pressured by Alabama, trying to come up with another steal.
A remarkable turn of events.
Alford tripped by Obasan, and that'll be the second foul on Obasan, and UCLA is in the bonus.
What a story, Obasan. Oh my goodness. Just strips the ball right from Bryce Alford there and throws it down, then comes right back. And different angle on that fine defensive play. Obasan, whose parents were from Nigeria, he was born in Antwerp, Belgium. He speaks 4 languages. I'm one up on him. I have 5.
Can you name them?
English being my 5th.
What are the other 4? Dare I ask? Let's
stammering, stuttering, stumbling, and spitting. Those are mine.
Alford misses the front end of the 1-and-1.
For Obasan, they're French, Dutch, English, and Nigerian.
UCLA has missed its last 8 shots from the field, and now missing the 1-and-1, and a chance for Alabama to take the lead, but they turn it over. Alford ahead to Adams, who will take it in. Oh, swatted away, but Ware is there with the tip.
Up and down basketball. Let's go.
Relaford in transition finds the open man, and an offensive foul is called. Now, the new rule this year in college basketball, as a defender in a block situation, you have to be there before the offensive player starts his upward motion. And it looked like Ware was, and a good call. Offensive foul on Randolph.
Welcome to the 21st century. Goodness gracious. How long does it take him to figure out you can't run under somebody who's already jumped in the air? Poor spacing by the Bruins. Alabama has everything going for it right now.
Almost turned it over, got bailed out, then Adams collects but misses down low, batted around into the hands of Hale.
Look at this team from Tuscaloosa. Goodness gracious.
Relaford for 3, hit it. We're tied at 24. Relaford has been terrific off the bench with 10 points. That's his second 3.
And the fans who aren't already in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl back in Tuscaloosa, they're having the time of their life. Roll Tide.
Trevor Relaford with 2 3-point baskets off the bench and a 15-4 Alabama run over the last 7 minutes to tie the game at 24.
All because of Relaford, who comes in this Kansas City native, much the way Lucius Allen came to UCLA years ago from Kansas City. Lucius Allen, the greatest athlete in the history of the state of Kansas. Trevor Relaford, who's got an older brother, Travis, whose connection with Coach Anthony Grant is the reason that Trevor Relaford is even in this game here tonight.
Meanwhile, UCLA has gone cold and won for its last 11. The Bruins were around 63% for the first 7 or 8 minutes of the game. And then Anderson's pass off the mark.
The Bruins are totally discombobulated. And who's going to be the guy that settles them down? Jordan Adams has disappeared. Kyle Anderson is now turning the ball over.
Alabama working it around the perimeter, and another 3-pointer for Relaford, his 3rd. He's got 13 points and the Tide with a 3-point lead.
This might be the new rotation for Coach Anthony Grant in his 5th year in Tuscaloosa.
Well, he told us that he's hoping that Relaford will get the message based on the benching, and I think it got through. Here's Adams on the low block. A nice fake. He faked the pass out and turned to the baseline and put it home.
The 2 greatest strengths for the coach, the liberal use of the word no and the bench.
Relaford off target from 3 that time. Bruins looking to retake the lead with 3.5 to go in the first half.
The Bruins had 20 points like 8 minutes into this game, and they have just gone ice cold here.
Although Anderson able to rattle it home there, and the Bruins back on top.
The transition opportunities are not there for UCLA. Give Alabama a ton of credit. Those wild errant shots where they just couldn't even draw iron at the beginning. A thing of the past. And you're seeing great confidence here. Traveling violation ignored.
Bama continuing to work the perimeter. Really, the Tide does not have a low post threat as Key is fouled on the drive. That's the 16th foul in UCLA.
Trevor Relaford, 6 feet tall, able to drain long perimeter jumpers, and has Alabama right back in this one. What are the Bruins going to do?
We're in studio, Land Rover halftime report just around the corner. Coach Greenberg going to be focusing on 2 backcourts today. The Harrison twins and James Young combining to lead the Wildcats over the Cards, and maybe the less celebrated Syracuse backcourt really coming into their own, taking on Villanova. That's coming up, Land Rover at the half, guys.
Dave Pasch back with Hall of Famer Bill Walton. UCLA on top by 1. And more college basketball for you Tuesday. A triple header of AAC conference basketball. That is the American Athletic Conference, Bill. Louisville UCF, followed by Memphis USF. UConn Houston in the nightcap. Louisville losing today to its rival Kentucky.
Never discount Kentucky. What John Calipari's been able to do is establish a gold standard right now in terms of getting the talent in there in the packed house every single night. No matter the situation, John Calipari, he's going to give you a chance to win the whole thing.
Alabama ball. 17 bench points for Bama, none for UCLA. 13 of the 17 bench points by normal starter Trevor Relaford.
But Alabama's been on a 19-7 run over the last nearly 9 minutes since Relaford came in. And Alford and Levine, the 2 freshman guards for UCLA who usually provide just a ton of points, they have not been able to find the mark or get the opportunities.
Randolph, his 3 is good. Alabama by 2.
This is not the same team that started this game. Now they're the ones that are pressing the Bruins off the court, making the big guys handle the ball.
5th 3-pointer for Alabama. They're up strong, put it in, and a 3-point opportunity. Boy, Tony Parker looks like literally a totally different guy in 2013-14.
This is the personality of the team, this UCLA team. A lot of quiet guys on it, not a vocal group really, but Tony Parker, he is the showman. He's the guy that orchestrates all the fun and activity out there, and he's got himself in much better shape. He's lost a ton of weight, and he had a 1.5 feet out the door last year.
I love the advice that you gave him today when you said tomorrow is the most important thing after tonight.
Well, he still had a good part of the day to go, including this game here tonight. But to see the smile on Tony Parker's face last year, boy, oh my gosh.
You and him together.
Never discount the value of positive leadership.
Inside 2 minutes to go in the first half. UCLA on top by 1. The Bruins are unbeaten at home this year at 8-0. They're 10-2 overall. Alabama 5-6 on the year. After a 23-win season a year ago. Another 3-point try is good for Randolph. That's 6 threes for Alabama. 8 points for Randolph.
More importantly in Alabama's offense and the shots going in has been the discipline in not just giving up transition opportunities to the Bruins.
Inside to Parker, had it stripped. Randolph with the save. Alabama ball.
Obasahan
looking to push the tempo, but the pass was off target, trying to hit Relaford, and a turnover.
Terrible pass. Got to hit the guy in the chest, please.
Over the first 8 minutes, UCLA led by 11, but since a 24-11 tied run.
Before we go to the half and lose total control of this game, you mentioned earlier about expectations. Are you old enough to have ever heard of a guy by the name of Bear Bryant? So they got this new guy who's coaching at Alabama. His name is Nick Saban.
I've heard of him.
And he's done quite a remarkable job. So
think?
let's not put a burden of expectations as something that is insurmountable.
Parker inside gets the basket.
Expectations are a good thing.
We're tied at 33, inside a minute to go here in the first half. And coming up in the second half, we'll look at some of your favorite Bear Bryant quotes. I know you're a big Bear Bryant fan, obviously having played for John Wooden, both very similar leadership styles.
What alumni. Joe Namath, Kenny Stabler.
Hale fouled and will shoot two as Parker reached in and grabbed the arm.
C.M. Newton, Wimp Sanderson, Mel Allen, Tim Leary.
Hey, how about the last time, and the only win, in fact, for Alabama against UCLA was here at Pauley Pavilion in 1983 when the Bruins were #1 in the country.
And Alabama comes in here 2 days after the Bear died. And they spank the Bruins, take it right to them.
Hale off the mark on the foul shot.
But the history of Alabama basketball, C.M. Newton, what he did, Wimp Sanderson, Robert Horry, Leon Douglas. Oh, great player. Robert Horry, who has more NBA championships than anybody who's not a Celtic.
1 out of 2 for Hale. And Alabama with a 1-point lead.
And they're the ones who are pressing. They're the ones who were dictating the tempo. And the Bruins have not responded well.
Anderson just got it across.
The Bruins, with their vaunted high-powered offense, now running into a real opponent here at home, only have 33 points.
Alabama, though, shooting lights out from three-point land. 6 made threes for the Tide here in the first half. Normally not a good shooting team. 5 seconds to go in the half. Here's Anderson. Off balance. Anderson can't get it. The tip won't go. And that's the end of the first half.
Alabama's set defense really improved, and their defensive rebound. Somebody is playing with a lot of fire out there, getting in the ring with the Bear.
Land Rover halftime report now to the studio. Chris Cotter, Seth Greenberg. UCLA led by as many as 11 in the first half, but Alabama on top at intermission, 34-33. Back with one of the greatest college basketball players of all time and UCLA legend Bill Walton. I'm Dave Pash. Bill, let's start with a good for UCLA. The start where they were up 29 in the play of Kyle Anderson in that first half.
One more Saturday night. The place is rocking here at Pauley Pavilion, all because of Kyle Anderson, who's been getting it done from the opening tip, running the floor, finding cutters in transition, finishing powerfully in the lane after dishing it off to other guys who were able to spot up magnificently. It was all Bruins in an early runaway. But then everything changed in the history of the world when Trevor Rutherford came back into the lineup after being disciplined. Did not even start tonight. But the ball movement, the three-point shooting, the confidence, the spirit, the belief that they can get this done against all odds. They exploited UCLA's biggest weakness, a lack of team speed. They're trying to get away here in Alabama so that they can have the long red-eye flight home tonight with incredible satisfaction. But the Bruin faithful here dancing in the streets.
So what has to change for UCLA here in the second half, Bill?
The pace of the game. They slowed it down. Alabama was able to slow it down by great shooting and dominant rebounding. UCLA, they've got to play better defense themselves to create some opportunities to get going in the transition game. This is not a powerful one-on-one team in the set offense, UCLA.
Rutherford is starting the second half. You talked about him not starting the game for disciplinary reasons. He was late for practice after missing a flight. Had 13 points in that first half. Anderson, as we mentioned, had 10. Jordan Adams had 8, hit 2 threes in that first half. The only three-pointers for the Bruins.
You talked about missing the flight. How does the song go? Don't say I never warned you when your train gets lost.
Not sure I have that one on my iPod. Hale with the shot clock at 3. Randolph has to fire and does from the hash mark and throws up a brick. Cleared by Adams.
That's your first possession? Goodness gracious.
Here's Ware, and getting the bounce is Travis Ware. And UCLA back on top by 1.
Punishing them inside. Alabama lost 6 games this year. They played a really tough non-conference schedule. They'll be ready for the SEC, always tough there. But in the 6 games they've lost them just by a couple points each night out. Traveling violation ignored.
Hale missed the shot. It was a good look by Relaford. Ware gets to the loose ball, and then he's fouled. First on Alabama in the second half.
I was talking to the referee, Dave, before the game tonight. Dave's from Denver.
David Hall?
Yeah. And so when Dave was in college, he was on the baseball team, and his coach was Irv Brown, one of the legendary referees in the history of NCAA basketball. Did all the big games in his era, Irv Brown did.
And that's a 10-second backcourt violation.
Bruins getting burned by the press, much the way they did last year in a home loss to Oregon in Pac-12 conference play. How about the improvement of the Pac-12? Just absolutely stunning.
Now Arizona #1. You got Oregon, a top 10 team. Colorado was good last year, but the Buffaloes, a quality basketball team again this year. You had Stanford with that win at UConn, Bill.
Oregon is playing tremendous ball. Utah playing real nice. Colorado's better team this year than they were last year.
Anderson with a steal. Now Utah might be really the surprise team so far in the conference. Anderson finds a cutting David Ware for 2. Have you had a chance to watch Arizona, and you think they're the legitimate #1 team in the country right now?
Absolutely. They've got it all. And the player development from last year to this year, and what McConnell has done in the backcourt, shocking what happens when a point guard passes the ball to a big, powerful front line.
And we'll have Arizona here against UCLA on January 9th at 9 o'clock on ESPN. Adams with the alley-oop attempt, Powell with a catch and the finish, and the Bruins on a run. They have a 5-point lead now after trailing by 1 at the half. The Tide has not scored yet here in the second half.
The quality opponents that the Bruins have played this year, mostly on the road, Missouri and Duke, have blown out UCLA in the second half. This is the best home court opponent that UCLA has faced all season.
First conference game for UCLA will be against USC. Then the Arizona game that we talked about. Blocking foul and a 3-point opportunity. Relaford with the bucket and a Ware foul.
Down the lane here. The ability of the Bruins to collapse defensively and then get out in transition. Relaford comes right back. Not sure why you'd want to try to take a charge against a guy who, he's not 6 feet tall himself. Shaq was that size at birth.
Relaford with the 3-point play at 16 points now for him. Alabama within 2. UCLA 3 of 3 from the field to start the second half. By the way, Walton Wonders will debut Arizona UCLA January 9th. Just whetting the appetite for the fans out there. I'm sure they're wondering what Walton Wonders is all about. Turnover by UCLA. Relaford faked the pass, put it in. Offensive foul.
What a play.
Defensive foul. 3-point opportunity for Relaford again.
What spirit. You see these guys from Tuscaloosa. They believe. And the professionalism by Anthony Grant. Oh, what a job he's done in breathing life into this team. I mentioned Shaq. I was drifting and dreaming the other day. And I was thinking about the SEC coming up at this big game tonight, the game of the millennium. And I was thinking about the all-time SEC team. And so here's who I came up with.
Okay.
Shaq.
LSU.
Bob Pettit. LSU, for you young guys. Pete Maravich. All-time leading scorer in the history of college basketball.
Another LSU.
Dominique Wilkins, Georgia. Charles Barkley, Auburn.
Great. That's a great 5. Relaford with a steal to look ahead to Randolph and blocked from behind by Travis Ware.
Alabama is saying, what is a foul? Is there even a rule book here?
6-0 Alabama run after UCLA started the second half.
What a game.
With a 6-0 start.
We need more games like this.
Travis Ware, no, well defended by Randolph, and it's Alabama ball.
Randolph has really showed a lot here. Randolph on the verge of becoming the first academic All-American in the history of Alabama basketball.
Relaford, an open three, got it again.
Randolph doing it all, blocking shots, rebounding, swinging the ball. Relaford, the beneficiary of that great unselfish play.
He has 22 points. His season average is 17, and it's a 9-0 run. It ends on the drive and score by Norman Powell. You got to come up with an all Pac-12 team. You gave your all SEC team.
You ready for it?
Off the top of your head, you got it, huh? Are you included? You need to be. You need to be.
Kareem,
Relaford,
Jamal Wilkes, Sidney Wicks, Walt Hazard, Gail Goodrich.
Okay, pretty good. Hard to argue with those. Although I still think that you belong on the list, even though you're not going to put yourself there. You might put Luke on the list as Powell drives and scores, and we're tied at 43. Almost 5 minutes gone by.
Up and down basketball. What could be better? No timeouts. No looking over at the sideline. What do I do now? Time for Obasahan to get going here. This guy is too good, too dynamic of a player. He's been quiet most of the evening.
Entry pass to Taylor, who had position, and David Ware forced to foul him. That's 3 on David Ware.
What a game tonight here at Pauley Pavilion. Renovated a year ago and celebrating tonight. This is college basketball at its best. Here we go.
And Alabama and UCLA tied at 43, 5 minutes in. Greatest coach in UCLA history, John Wooden. Let's look at the greatest coach in Alabama history, Bear Bryant, and some of the quotes that Bill picked out looking at the internet this week. Paul Bear Bryant said, Bill, if you believe in yourself and have dedication and pride and never quit, you'll be a winner. The price of victory is high, but so are the rewards.
Confidence.
You must learn how to hold a team together. You must lift some men up, calm others down until finally they've got one heartbeat. Then you've got yourself a team.
Happiness begins when selfishness ends.
It's not the will to win that matters. Everyone has that. It's the will to prepare to win that matters.
Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Bear Bryant, the Arkansas native who came down to Tuscaloosa and was a stud. The other end behind Don Hudson.
Alabama turns it over. Do you know if Bryant and Coach Wooden had much of a relationship?
That I'm not aware of. But I do know that it was a couple of years ago while Coach Wooden was still alive. They gave him just what he needed. Another award. They named him the greatest coach ever. Not the greatest basketball coach, not the greatest college coach, but the greatest coach ever. Number 2 was Vince Lombardi. Number 3 was Bear Bryant. In the list of the greatest coaches ever. Phil Jackson was number 4. He was mad as can be about being number 4. Don Shula, number 5, and Red Auerbach, number 6. And when Red found out he was behind Phil, he said, what are you talking about? From inside his coffin, he's pounding on that door. Phil just buys players. I build teams. And that's what Anthony Grant is doing here right now.
You're saying Phil Jackson couldn't coach? He just had good talent? I assume you're not saying that.
The rivalry between Red Auerbach and Phil Jackson was brilliant.
Here's Ware with a shot clock at 3. Gets it to his brother David Ware, playing with 3 fouls. Can't hit it with the shot clock winding down.
And I love the rivalry that's going to develop here in the Pac-12 with Andy Enfield and every other coach.
Yeah.
That guy is awesome. And the combination of Pat Hayden and Andy Enfield and Tony Bland, that is going to be a real team in the near future.
Tony Bland, an excellent recruiter. Randolph's 3 off the heel, rebounded by Travis Ware. Tied at 43, 6 minutes gone by in the second half. Jordan Adams hit 2 threes in the first half. That one won't go, but Kyle Anderson there with a rebound.
If Alabama expects to win, you can't give up a 3 and then the rebound on the far side. Please.
Anderson for 3, way off the mark.
Just missed. Relaford.
A little out of control, but got it to Randolph.
That's called change of pace, change of direction.
UCLA comes in 10-2. The losses to Duke by 17, Missouri by 9. They're 2-2 after an 8-0 start in the conference play in early January, starting with Andy Enfield and USC. A rivalry developing already there because of some of the Enfield comments about the style of play at UCLA, at least under the previous staff. Well, you've made some of those comments as well. Adams connects on the jumper. UCLA by 2.
Nothing like rivalries.
Adams with 10 points now.
What has happened to us when we're afraid to tell the truth?
Cooper in and out from 3. Rebounded by Powell.
But the pace of this game is fine. You mentioned the 2 losses, UCLA, bad losses on the road. UCLA outplayed both opponents, Duke and Missouri, in the first half of both of those games.
Last touch by Alabama, so an extra possession here for UCLA, and Steve Alford in his first year here with the Bruins after 6 years in New Mexico.
And the biggest problem that Alford's going to have to overcome in the short term is how do you win when the other teams are quicker? Quickness, a mental skill, taught, yes, but it's not a quick, explosive team.
Here's Adams coming off a screen. Shabazz Muhammad was here for a year, then went to the NBA. You know, it seems like they might miss Larry Drew more than they miss Muhammad based on the ball handling of Larry Drew and the decision making as Anderson hits the jumper and the Bruins up by 4. Anderson with 12 points.
They're moving forward. Larry Drew graduated. He's in the D League right now. But he was very close to making the world champion Miami Heat team, but he'll be back. That guy is very talented, solid on all fronts. But the great thing about college basketball is that it changes all the time.
Nice play by Alford, getting the steal. That's Steve's son, Bryce Alford. Steve has 2 sons on the UCLA roster, coming with him from Albuquerque. Both freshmen.
2 sets of brothers on this team.
Ware twins, of course. Here's Anderson up top.
Bringing new meaning to the double-double.
Anderson fouled on the way to the basket. We'll see if they say that it was a shooting foul. Yes, they do. So free throws for Anderson when we come back. Anderson having a terrific game for UCLA, and the Bruins up 4.
Studio, full day of college football on ESPN, wrapping up with the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl, Michigan and K-State. Kansas State's Jake Waters finds Tyler Lockett for the 3rd time in the first half. 21-6, the Wildcats on top. Back to Dave and Bill at Pauley Pavilion.
Bill is incredulous. He just found out the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl is not in Buffalo. It's in Arizona. Look at our Saturday storyline. Syracuse beat Villanova today by 16 points. Kentucky knocked off Louisville, and Missouri in the game previous to us here on ESPN2 knocked off NC State.
Missouri now in the SEC. That's going to be a whole nother battle. It's going to be a great year for SEC basketball, including for Alabama, due in large part to their outstanding coach, Anthony Grant, now in his 5th season here, this Miami native who went and played his college ball for Coach Donaher at University of Dayton. And then he went on to become a high school coach and then a college coach, hooked up with Billy Donovan at Marshall. And they were all in their late 20s, and the rest is history. 12 years with Billy Donovan, and now he comes over from Florida, and they are trying to create the magic that Donovan has already established there in Gainesville, now over in Tuscaloosa.
He was part of that first championship team, then got the head coaching job at VCU, and then after 3 years there, got the job at Alabama. 5-point lead for UCLA. A 7-0 Bruins run. 11 minutes to go. Anthony
Grant, very serious, very studious, incredibly professional. Where you can see it in the poise that his team plays with here tonight. Although they have not won any of the close games this year.
Although he's fired up at your boy David Hall after a block and looked like a foul. Anderson missing. Parker with a rebound. Can't put it back, but an Alabama foul, and Parker will shoot 2.
Tony
the
Parker,
second team foul in Alabama.
Tony Parker can bring to this team what it doesn't have. Somebody who's willing and who has the skill and talent to fight for that ball underneath the boards. That is the most difficult thing to find. You can find these little guards who will write books and make commercials and stuff. You can find the big, tall, pretty boys who have the incredible athletic talent and winners of the genetic lottery. But who's going to be the guy that really fights for that ball? And that has to be Tony Parker for this team.
Parker missing the second free throw. Rodney Cooper picked up his 3rd personal foul. So Cooper and Key both with 3 fouls for the tie.
Whoever can find the key to sustainability here in this game. Each team plays well for about 2.5 minutes at a time, right? And then they just stop, and then the other team takes over.
Yep. Both teams have been inconsistent offensively. Now they get a Parker foul as Jacobs will go to the line. That's the third on Tony Parker. Close out the year with a Big Ten college basketball doubleheader on Tuesday, starting with number 3 Ohio State. Aaron Kraft. Buckeyes taking on Purdue at 1. And it's Indiana and Illinois at 3.
Illinois got a good team. They took Oregon right down to the wire. They took Missouri right down to the wire. Could have won that Missouri game. Oregon just keeps playing, though, against all odds. What a remarkable story.
Dana Altman, a terrific job done there at Oregon. They won the Pac-12 tournament championship last year. Beat UCLA in the conference tournament title game in Vegas.
And then lost their entire front line and are better this year than ever. Oh, my gosh.
Some really good young talent there. Good young talent for many teams in the Pac-12, including UCLA. This kid right here, Zach LaVine, right on cue. His foot on the line. A long 2 for the freshman LaVine, averaging 13 points per game. That's his first basket tonight. A foul on the other end on UCLA.
Are you familiar with the French wonderkind Nicolas Batum?
I am.
That guy has got the similar type of body and range and flow that Zach LaVine has right here. Zach LaVine, who grew up in Seattle, although he's got strong family roots down here in the Inland Empire, San Bernardino area. So when he would come down here as a child, and he would see the palm trees and the beaches and the girls in the bikinis and the people riding their bikes and running and playing frisbee and riding their skateboards, he said, I think I want to come to UCLA.
That's why you came here, right? For the frisbees?
Dykstra Park, one of the great places on earth that has now been paved over.
And we got a whistle here. Kyle Anderson hurt.
Wow.
Anderson was shaken up on that loose ball and then tried to tough it out when Alabama reset, but now goes to the bench. Anderson so important to this UCLA team as their starting point guard at 6'9", and obviously a guy that plays the 4 and also plays the 5 at times. And a lot of times will defend the 4, the 5 for the other team.
These are the types of games that UCLA wins playing at home. The types of games that Alabama has not been able to come out on top of this year has been very frustrating. But the players that Alabama has coming next year, oh my goodness. Top 20 recruiting class, a couple of transfers will be ready next year.
Good pass by LaVine and the jam by Parker, but LaVine made that happen. Excellent decision, and 8 points now for Parker. UCLA back up 6. And then Jordan Adams called for a push as Randolph made the catch on the sideline. That's 3 personals on Jordan Adams and 16 fouls on UCLA.
You only get a few fouls. Why would you waste one like that when you're as important to the team and you already have Kyle Anderson sitting on the bench with an injury?
Relaford just slipped there. Might be some condensation on the floor. We'll look at that during the next timeout. Obasahan lost the ball, but gets back in position and gets the steal on Adams.
Tremendous play, Retin Obasahan.
Numbers for Alabama as Relaford takes it himself and scores. And that's 24 points now off the bench for Trevor Relaford.
And with Relaford and Obasahan showing the extreme explosiveness and quickness that UCLA is dearly lacking, the Tide have been able to hold on here.
Just inside the arc, Travis Ware with the jumper. And he has 8 points tonight. And it's a 6-point UCLA lead again as we near 8 minutes to go here in the second half.
The strength of the Ware brothers games, the screen and the roll to the perimeter jumper, and the willingness of all the players on this year's team to move that ball around. They truly seem to enjoy playing with each other and playing the sport in general.
Jacobs tried to keep it alive, and then Parker couldn't save it after the missed 3 by Shannon Hale. By the way, I'm being told that you're trending on Twitter. Welcome back to college basketball.
Did you see Twitter's valuation yesterday? Oh my gosh, it went down 13% in the market. But before it did that, This was a company that has not ever recorded a profit, and they got a greater valuation than Nike does, the most successful sports company in the history of the world.
By the way, who controls her Twitter account? Because all I see is retweets of Lori Walt. Does she control it? She just retweets herself on that account? You don't even know you have an account, do you?
There's a lot of things I don't know.
Here's Hale on the drive, push.
Oh, what a drive!
Opportunity as Travis Ware fouled him. Free throw when we come back as Alabama's cut the UCLA lead to 4.
We've got a game.
Sean Elliott, the 1989 Wooden Award winner, led the Arizona Wildcats in scoring in each of his 4 seasons and won 3 Pac-10 titles along the way. He is, to this day, the all-time leading scorer in Arizona history.
You'll see Arizona, #1 in the country currently, at UCLA on ESPN January 9th against these two John R. Wooden Award candidates, Jordan Adams and Kyle Anderson. So far tonight, Anderson with 13 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, but got hurt earlier. And it appears that he's suffering from cramps. They got the rollers out working on both calves.
But cramping in athletic competition is generally a result and meaning of a nutritional deficiency. So you got to put some stuff inside to open up those veins that collapse when all the necessary nutrients get sweated out of your body, and this guy's been really working it out tonight.
This comes from a man who
can't just rub. You got to put something in there that's going to change things.
This comes from a man who had 17 energy shots before tip-off.
This is a guy who drinks a 48-ounce bottle of V8 juice every day.
Do you?
To keep from cramping.
By the way, great to see that you're back in great health, Bill. I know you've been biking a lot this summer, and just watching you walk around today.
It's just
happy
fantastic.
For you, pal.
I got my health back. I got a new spine. I got a new knee. I'm 61 years old. I'm now ready for the next 65 years of my life. Just getting started out here.
3-point opportunity here for Shannon Hale, freshman from Johnson City, Tennessee, who started for the first time tonight. Misses the foul shot and rebounded by Jordan Adams. Adams, Ware, and Tony Parker all with 3 personal fouls.
But Hale, along with Jimmy Taylor, excuse me, is 2 freshmen recruits by Anthony Grant.
Here's Adams recovering, getting to the loose ball and putting it in with the left hand. That's 12 points now for Jordan Adams.
UCLA is scoring on the hustle plays.
And Adams with another rebound.
Alabama has shown more structure and more discipline. UCLA much more of a freelance up and down team, and without Kyle Anderson, where is the set offensive firepower and productivity going to come from?
Here's Levine off the dribble, nails a 3. Zach Levine is shooting 43% from behind the arc. I like that Batum comparison.
I love the long, lean, wiry guys who just float over the court. So graceful.
Taylor with the short jumper swishes it through. Approaching 6.5 to go. 7-point lead for UCLA as Randolph picks up near midcourt. 13 foul.
No need to give Zach Levine a screen by a 7-footer who's just going to come and get in the way out there. This guy can get by people. And the Alabama defense knows that. They back off. And when you watch Levine shoot in practice, every one of them goes in. He's just got the perfect stroke, the perfect release. He says he's 18 years old. He can't be more than 14.
One of many great freshmen you'll see in the Pac-12. Wednesday and Thursday nights, 9 Eastern, ESPN. ESPN2, Aaron Gordon, of course, at Arizona, top-ranked team in the land. Tony Parker, sophomore from Atlanta, gets inside, now has 10 points. Back to a 9-point UCLA lead.
Don't forget the junior college transfer up at Utah, DeLon Wright. That guy is really lighting it up. A surprise newcomer of the year in this great Pac-12 conference, which is right up there with all the other big boys.
Shot clock approaching 10, inside 6 minutes to go. Off the bounce, Randolph with the jumper. And now Anthony Grant calls a timeout. 7-point game here at Pauley.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering, and Joseph A. Bank. We fit most everyone. JOSbank.com.
Welcome back to Pauley Pavilion on the campus of UCLA. The Bruins on top of Alabama by 7. Inside 6 minutes to go in the second half. Bill back on his old stomping grounds next to the John Wooden statue. He took that picture today.
What a great day here at UCLA. What was it, 80 degrees? Everything was just gorgeous as could be. We were in the men's gym for practice this morning.
The Student Athletic Center?
No, it's the men's gym. Which, for those of you who are not old enough to remember, in 1954, Bill Russell lost his last college game when the Dons at USF went down to UCLA, John Wooden, Willie Knowles, 47-40. Willie Knowles fouled out, but UCLA won by 7. Bill Russell went on to win his next 60 games.
There's a foul by Relaford. That's the 4th team foul in Alabama, so side out of bounds. Bill Russell, the best big man in the history of the game, or
my favorite. He's my favorite player. Forget big man. He's my favorite player and person in the history of basketball. He's my hero. I'm lucky. I got a lot of heroes. Heroes that stood for more than just stuff.
Adams, quick fire off the screen, can't get it. Rebounded by Relaford. Alabama trying to cut into the 7-point deficit. 5.5 remaining. The Tide led by 1 at halftime after trailing by as many as 11 to UCLA in the first half. Randolph off the dribble gets the short jumper. Levi Randolph had a good night so far with 12 points.
I'm not sure why Jordan Adams wants to go for that steal when there's really no chance to get it because there's such an easy pass.
Another foul. I know you don't like the stoppages, but this is part of the new rules to allow for more freedom of movement as Kyle Anderson returns after dealing with cramps earlier. You can't put, as a defender, 2 hands on an offensive player. You can't use the arm bar. You can't hand check. They're going to call those now, even if they're 30 feet away from the basket.
Doesn't matter what the rules are, as long as they're equally enforced. But Wilt made the greatest point ever when he was arguing with Michael Jordan about who was the greatest ever. And he said, Michael, never forget, when you played, they changed all the rules to make it easier for you. When I played, they changed every rule to make it harder. And Wilt, by the way, in his first college game, 52 points, 31 rebounds.
Beautiful move by Tony Parker on the low block. 12 points for Parker. We're seeing offensive moves that he didn't have in his arsenal last year.
Well, he had them. They were just discouraged.
Relaford with a long 3. What a night for Trevor Relaford. 27 points off the bench, his 5th 3-pointer, and it's back to a 4-point game.
Best I've ever seen him play, which is a bit disconcerting in that it takes a disciplinary action to spark him like that. You would hope to, number 1, discipline yourself so that others don't have to. And number 2, motivate yourself.
Got a jump ball situation here.
Possession UCLA.
Relaford got the rebound, but quickly tied up. Tony Parker, 5 of 6 from the floor, 12 points. I like how the Bruins have been looking for him here in the second half on the low block.
It gives him a different look. Gives him some power. As good as the Ware twins are, their game is not low post banging, getting physical. They're going to play the perimeter. They've got tremendous basketball sense. Their parents are just absolutely fantastic. They never miss a game.
How about only 2 3-point attempts by UCLA here in the second half? 2 of 5 in the first half, 1 of 2 in the second half as they're really trying to go inside against Alabama. Here's the roll by Ware. The jumper's in and out. And then Ware gets it back. Short. Parker able to put it back in.
What a fun game.
20 points this half in the paint, Bill, for UCLA. Three won't go. Rebounded by Ware.
Remember last year, this same game, which was Missouri just joining the SEC.
Levine on the drive, can't put it in.
Missouri had the game and then just gave it away at the end.
Levine fouled. It'll be a 1-and-1 when we come back for Alabama, down 6 to UCLA. Miss a triple-header of AAC Conference basketball on ESPN2, starting at 5 at Louisville in Central Florida. Then it's Memphis against USF. UConn, ranked 15th in the country, plays at 9 o'clock against Houston. Here at Pauley Pavilion, UCLA on top of Alabama, 66-60. Trevor Relaford trying to keep the Tide in it. His career high is 36. He has 27 tonight off the bench, 5 threes. Where would the Crimson Tide be without Trevor Relaford, who has just played brilliantly in a reserve limited role because of disciplinary reasons? The guy didn't show up one day, missed his flight. But now he's coming out, just played absolutely perfect. 9 for 12 from the floor overall, 5 for 8 from behind the arc. This guy's got a game. Best I've ever seen him play. Got a 1-and-1 here after the 18 foul in UCLA.
He did not have a good outing against Duke when Duke took care of Alabama early on in Madison Square Garden.
Did have 22 against Wichita State. Also had 21 against Drexel, 29 against Texas Tech. Has 28 tonight.
Alabama lost that heartbreaker to Drexel, triple overtime game.
Relaford with both free throws. That cuts the UCLA lead to 4 with just outside 3 minutes to go.
An eternity to go. And UCLA can't even inbound the ball. Run the baseline. Throw it in high to Kyle Anderson.
Still 3 timeouts remaining for UCLA. 4-point lead for the Bruins. So UCLA has really pounded it inside here in the second half.
They should, because Alabama doesn't have the size. They don't have the strength. Their big guys are very young, incredibly raw and inexperienced. It's not a big team, Alabama. And the Bruins with Kyle Anderson, the Ware twins, Tony Parker, Norman Powell, and Jordan Adams should be able to get whatever they want. But every time the Bruins have opened it up, Relaford has come right back and answered brilliantly. And don't discount what Levi Randolph has done as well, who just played beautiful basketball tonight.
He has 12 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. UCLA able to inbound this time as Powell brings it across. And then off the hands of Parker, but last touch by Alabama.
That's when you walk up to Tony Parker and say, excuse me, where would you like it next time?
Pretty good pass. Anderson going to face up here. Adams top of the key 3. And Parker gets the rebound.
It's not how high you jump, it's where you are and when you jump. Tony Parker with exquisite position and timing.
Powell using the Ware screen, gets into the paint, little off balance, couldn't hit it, almost did. Thought he'll go to the line and shoot a pair.
The Alabama bench beside themselves, can't believe the bailout. Down the lane, falling down Norman Powell.
They didn't really see a foul there.
No,
just slipped.
Gonna have to clean off my cataracts here.
So Powell shooting 2, 16 foul at Alabama. Norman Powell, a junior, 11 points per game, shooting close to 80% at the free throw line this season. He has 11 points tonight.
Like Tony Parker, getting a real chance to play extended minutes. And Norman Powell just so gifted and so powerful, so explosive. Now with a much more free-flowing offensive scheme, he's got a chance to really do something with his life and career now in his 3rd year here at UCLA out of Lincoln High School, San Diego.
Missed the second one. Alabama ball, 2.5 to go. 5-point Bruin lead. UCLA unbeaten at home, 8-0, 10-2 overall. First 3 conference games for UCLA will be here at home against USC, Arizona, which will be on ESPN on Thursday, January 9th. And Arizona State, remember, UCLA went 3-0 against Arizona last year. Adams with a steal, and double dribble is called. So a turnover as UCLA gives it right back.
Arizona State playing tremendous ball. Herb Sendek doing the job over there. Bashinsky up front. Incredibly different player from a year ago. Jaheed Carson, awesome what he's able to do, what he did last year in the Pac-12 Conference Tournament against UCLA. Oh my goodness, and he's carried on this year.
Meanwhile, Alabama has not won this year when allowing 70 or more points, so that's been the magic number for them. 2 minutes to go. UCLA at 67. Alabama down 5. Entry pass. Bucket won't go for Jacobs at point-blank range, but Relaford gets it back. And now a 3-ball. That's good! Trevor Relaford with his 6th three-point basket. He's got 32 tonight. It's a 2-point game.
A remarkable turn of events here. It seems like Alabama just missed a golden opportunity. And here's Relaford again. No one will catch him.
And Relaford ties it up at 60. He's got 34.
Steve Alford beside himself. They're trying to get the ball up court to call a timeout.
A 14-5 Alabama run.
Trevor Relaford all over the place. We might suggest him missing the next plane as well, just as long as he's there in time for the game. Perimeter jumpers, drives to the hoop, rebounds. In transition, just outrunning the opposition. Scoring at will here. A 14-5 run here in the last couple of minutes. Alabama.
How about the efficiency for Relaford? 11 of 14 from the field. 6 of 9 from threes, perfect at the line, 6 of 6.
He's played totally within himself. Hasn't tried to do any wild, crazy things. Maybe bring him off the bench all the time. It's worked really, really well for him. 34 points, that's just 2 off his career high, correct?
Yep, he also has 4 steals. So UCLA has the ball. Bill, what are some of the options here for the Bruins? They had success earlier in the half when they try to pound the paint. I think they'll do it here.
The offense is falling apart, Dave. And so for UCLA, try to establish something other than just a wild foray to the basket. And Tony Parker has been effective down low. The Bruins, though, since Kyle Anderson went to the bench, have really not been able to sustain any sort of offensive fluidity out there. So where does it come from? What's happened to Jordan Adams? What's happened to Norman Powell? Tony Parker. This is an evolving, changing Bruin team that certainly has no identity. Steve Alford pointed that out on the defensive end at this morning's practice. But tonight we're seeing it on the offensive end as well. This is one of the high-scoring teams in the entire nation.
And you talked about Anderson, just hasn't looked the same since he went to the bench dealing with those cramps. He's come back in and tried to fight through it. Here he is, one-on-one against Levi Randolph. Gives it up to Ware. Adams pulls it out. Shot clock at 10. Anderson to Powell. Three-pointer. Way off. Parker there. Oh, he can't put it back, but he's fouled. Tony Parker maybe having his best game at UCLA.
Nothing like beating the big guys. And Tony, not the biggest, strongest guy out there, but his sense of anticipation, figuring out where the ball's going, grabbing it, and just putting it right back up before anybody else even has a chance to move. That's what makes basketball just so fantastic.
That's 15 points for the second straight game for Tony Parker. UCLA by 1. Saw Anderson working to try to stretch out and midcourt. Been holding his hamstrings and his calves. Both free throws go for Tony Parker. A 44% free throw shooter coming into this game, but he's 4 of 5 tonight. Inside a minute to go. Fans on their feet at Pauly with the Bruins in front by 2. Relaford in the drive, knifes into the lane, hangs but can't score. He got Parker with the rebound as Relaford almost got it back, and then Ware is fouled. Travis Ware will have a 1-and-1 on the other end. That's the 17th foul in Alabama.
Rutherford gets inside. So deep, though, but there's just nothing but giants around him. And Rutherford tries to get it again, but it's all Tony Parker and the student section right behind us, ecstatic, chanting his name, standing, rising as one here at Pauley Pavilion.
Alabama will call a 30-second timeout. It's the 8th team foul on Bama, so it'll be a 1-and-1 for UCLA. But Tony Parker, for the second straight game, has really shined. 15 points, 5 rebounds in the last outing against Weber State. Tonight, 16 points, 6 of 7 shooting, 4 of 5 at the line, and 5 rebounds. Get close to all the action wherever you are with the new SportsCenter app. Blazing fast scores, the hottest news and highlights, analysis, and more. You can download the new SportsCenter app by calling *SC from your phone.
So Alabama, what do they do now?
You're asking me?
Rutherford got to get into the paint quickly. And don't think you have to shoot every time. You've been so great offensively since you've been in there. But with the free throws here for UCLA and Travis Ware coming off that appendicitis attack that required the surgery and caused him to miss a bunch of the time in the beginning of the season.
He's a 1-and-1. He's 9 of 9 on the season at the line and gets the front end.
Perfect.
9 points tonight for Ware.
It was nice to hear Steve Alford's comments today about how he had to convince everybody to stay when he took the job. And we had to re-recruit everybody all over. And they all stayed.
4-point lead as Ware gets the free throws. Obasahan blocked by Parker. Parker comes up big on the defensive end again. Got the rebound in the last possession, and here with the swat. Parker was one of the guys you talked about that Steve Alford had to re-recruit. You said a foot and a half out the door. Was unhappy with his role here previously. He likes the new coaching staff, and he's responded on the court.
Obasahan down the lane, but there was just so many Bruins in there. When you're that little and you're coming down the lane, you got to think about laying it off to somebody who should be standing wide open. Excellent free throw shooting by the Bruins down the stretch.
One more free throw for Powell to try to push the lead to 6 as he hits the front end of the 1-and-1. Anthony Grant, hard to tell if that was a foul or not. He certainly thought that it was on the other end. Randolph along 2, short. And
over the back of Obasahan.
So Adams will shoot at the other end. A 6-0 UCLA run. We talked about that 70-point barrier. And looks like Alabama will go 0-6 now when allowing 70 or more points. It'll be 2 free throws for Adams as they're in the double bonus now.
But at the beginning of this game, it didn't look like they had any chance at all. And for vast stretches here tonight, they have been the better team.
It was a 20-9 score about 8 minutes into the game. And then Alabama led by 1 at halftime thanks to a 24-11 run. And then the Bruins and Ty went back and forth for about 10 minutes in the second half. And UCLA has now scored the last 7 points. Make it 8 straight for the Bruins.
Now if you're the UCLA, just don't foul. You're in a commanding position here.
Three-pointer way off. Adams the rebound, and Alabama will not foul, and UCLA will hang on. They score the final 8 points of the game, mostly at the foul line. So the Bruins remain unbeaten at home. 11-2 overall, 9-0 here at Pauley Pavilion. 75-67 the final score. Over the final minute and 24 seconds, UCLA scores the final 8 points of the game. SportsCenter up next on ESPN2. For Hall of Famer Bill Walton and our entire